Hi, my name is Daniel Fissmer, and I am the director of the short film From the Makers of. I directed it, and I also acted in it as well as produced, along with my co-producers who are a part of the production company Kid Cactus Comedy. So the synopsis of From the Makers of is a 90s inspired infomercial that spirals into a hellish nightmare. Some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes, the set was only built by a few people, me and I think we had one builder who we hired, and then my co-producers. It was designed by my great friend Justin Preston, who is the technical designer and lighting designer. And so he helped me design it, but there's only 4 people. So I think the funniest thing behind the scenes is I'm storing all these cabinets that we are sourcing off of Craigslist and then staining them and painting them in my backyard, and it's just like 3 people doing all of this work, and we're transporting these cabinets. We didn't have a truck at the time, so we're just shoving them into this like '04 Camry that doesn't really have enough space, just taking all these trips. I think that was probably oh yes, actually that was a big chaotic part, and then probably the most chaotic part of the film was Justin, my technical designer. He is super talented out here and does a lot of live events, as well as he does live events, music, and big museum work as well. So he got one of the biggest jobs of his entire life, and we were shooting in 6 weeks. And he calls me and he goes, "Daniel, I have to take this job. It's in 3 weeks." And so I had an absolute panic attack because we're supposed to build this set, source all these materials, and he's one of my best friends, so he was doing a lot of labor for free on the project. And he said, "I have to take this job. Can we do it in 3 weeks?" And I sort of just put down the phone. I said, "You got to give me like 5 minutes and I'll call you back." And I almost imploded, and then I called him and I said, "Yes, we can do this." So I just stopped all other projects, and I probably worked with my co-producers like 14-hour days to source all the materials, build the sets, do all the casting. And we'd been writing and rehearsing with the main actors because they are part of my production company. So all the actors are actually producers, the leads at least, the host. And so we basically had to rehearse every single day, build every single day. We thought we had 6 weeks and it got cut in half, and that's probably a worse nightmare on set. It's actually inspired by my younger sister. We're in the car and we were traveling to an island in Washington with my older sister and my mother, and she shows me this post online. She's like, "Oh, it's from the makers of I can't believe it's not butter," and it had all these products, and I thought that was super, super funny. And so she's like, "You got to do a sketch about this, I know, or like a film or something about this. I know you'd really enjoy this." And so I thought it was really, really funny. And so I started thinking about the time, like, okay, this is a funny joke, but what is the best way to frame something like this? And I remember growing up, I grew up in the 90s and just watching all the late night infomercials of the 90s as a kid, and like prank calling them, like, "Yeah, I'll have 25 of them." "No, you won't. It's like, you sound like Mickey Mouse as a child," or something like that. And so I remember all those infomercials and just how they would run for like half an hour at night, and they would just keep going and going and going. And then it sort of dawned on me, like, Instagram today, I feel like mirrors a lot of the stuff of the 90s, where it's like promising yourself the perfect, this will equal the perfect life, and that's when you'll be set and you'll feel happy finally. And I feel like Instagram does a really good job of that, and that actually mirrors the 90s, because it didn't feel like that in the like 2000s as much, because Instagram and social media wasn't around, and kind of those long infomercials were kind of dying out. And so I thought a 90s inspired infomercial would be a great way to frame sort of like this consumer culture that Instagram has brought about. And that's sort of how it got inspired. So from my sister to sort of, how do I frame this? And I love the 90s and how ridiculous and over the top and cheesy it can be, and almost plastic in nature. So I thought that'd be a really fun comedic way to like portray this product. We are in the process actually of making a working it into a larger 1-hour comedy special. So right now, actually, this is like, we wanted to make my production company, Kid Cactus Comedy. Me and my co-producers, co-owners of the company, wanted to make 5 standalone shorts and then weave them together sort of with an animated through line that we're working on the animation this year. So it's a standalone short, but it's going to be a part of a bigger theme that we will be releasing next year. It's untitled as of now, but it's sort of under the guise of what is art, and how sort of like into the Dada theater kind of movement, like anything can be art if you present it a certain way. It's just what is the meaning behind it, or if there's no inherent meaning at all. 2 of my business partners I've known for 15 years. We grew up in Virginia doing sketches together. Mm-hmm. And our other co-owner, I've known him for about 6 or 7 years now. I used to live with him until he got married. And we started making sketches. And then as we sort of moved out here, we formed our production company. And all of us are writers. We've all been writers our entire lives, writers and actors. And so we started finding, like, if we practice directing, we get something that we feel is more close to us instead of letting it out. So we did a lot of films, like short films a while ago, a little lower budget, you could say, even though this is still low budget in some sense, but even lower budget, if you can imagine. And we started practicing directing. And so how our company works is, a lot of the time, if you write it, you become the director, because we want to sort of rally around a leader. And we feel like that is the best way to get the most full vision. Each one of us sort of has our own specialty that really, really helps in terms of easing the production and how it goes along. And this project being cut from 6 weeks to 3 weeks, I don't think I could have done this with just producers I don't know, because of the time constraint, and how I can absolutely trust my co-producers in knowing that not only they're great producers, but they know what's funny. And they've been working with me for 15 years. So if I try to relay some sort of joke, they're going to go exactly what I'm going for, which I think is really hard sometimes in comedy in particular, where if your co-producers aren't online with what is funny, even just very subtle things like maybe casting an actor or something, it might not work out. So my co-producers, I just have to give it up to them, because they are just absolutely incredible. We will be premiering at HollyShorts on November 14th at 12 a.m. in the Midnight Madness category. And we couldn't be more thrilled to be in that category, because we really like off-the-wall, dark comedy, very bizarre, avant-garde kind of stuff. And so that's kind of what we were going for, and we're very pleased and happy to be a part of that. Excellent. I've been in contact with a lot of the festival coordinators, and they've been super, super helpful, especially during this time, because there were some questions with, how are we going to present this? What's the best format? Since we're doing it online right now, I think we're a little bummed out, because it's normally at the Chinese Theater, and we'd really love to go there and see it on the big screen with the DCP. But I can say they've been absolutely 100% very, very helpful, and a pleasure to work with. If you want to check out my personal social media, it's at DanielFissmer, so at Daniel Fissmer. And then you can also find information about the film on at Kid Cactus Comedy. So that's KID and then Cactus, CACTUS Comedy. This is Daniel Fissmer from Kid Cactus Comedy. Thank you for having me. I'll see you guys at the festival.